I'm actually quite pleased with the way this handbrake has turned out. I had to make this sort of fancy connecting rod device to hook it to the little bell crank you can just see there. This is because the handbrake lever is designed to work between the front seats of the car, but I need to have it on the driver's side, and I'm going to connect the cables onto the end of the bell crank that you can see at the bottom of the screen. And if you look, you can see when you pull the lever up, comes up to about that point, fully pulled in. It probably won't go that far when it's operating. As you can see, I've cut out a piece of steel for the floor on the driver's side, and it's amazing what a difference it makes to the look of the car when you actually have something by way of a floor in it. I've been agonising about what sort of hinges to use, and I've decided to use these pretty domestic butt hinges, but they have a removable pin, so I'll be able to knock the pin out with a little punch to remove the bonnet if ever I have to do that. I'm not real happy with the positioning of these telescopic shock absorbers, so I've decided that I'm going to try and mount them inside the engine bay, sort of so that the tops will go onto here and the bottoms will go onto will be mounted on the spring perches down below. I'm not too happy with these telescopic shock mounts that I've made. They seem just a bit too flimsy, and as cute as they look, I don't think they'll do the job. So I'm making some new ones that will mount the shock absorbers inside the engine bay. The tops will attach to this little duvalaki here, and the bottoms will attach to the spring perches down the bottom there. That will be much neater, and the shock absorbers will be almost perfectly vertical. I went down yesterday and I bought some rust converter, which is essentially phosphoric acid, and I sprayed some on the chassis this morning about an hour or so ago, and I'm very pleased with the result. As you can see, there's a definite sort of change to the finish. Here's the firewall where I've sprayed it, compared to the other part of the chassis where I haven't sprayed it, and it looks great. It appears to have a sort of nice finish to it that should take paint very well and should protect the car from future rust. To make some neat little headlamp brackets, take two seatbelt brackets. I think they're out of a Toyota, but they're from my scrap bin, and they're nicely shaped, and they will mount to this front part of the chassis here. Having cut out the nice little shaped pieces for the headlight brackets, I'm holding them in place with some magnets. This is a perfect use for old hard drives. They have these lovely super magnets in them, which are great for fabrication on your car. There we are, welded on. And don't these look much better than some piece of strap that you've drilled holes in and shaped? A nice factory looking shape. It's details like this that make the difference between a car looking proper and thrown together. And of course I want this car to look proper. I'm a bit of a tightwad, so I didn't want to spend hundreds of dollars on lights, so I managed to buy a couple of spotlight housings at a swap meet for the grand total of $5 the pair, and I've also got some really nice halogen inserts that fit perfectly, so these will be the headlights. Well, I finally got the headlights in a position that I'm happy with. I think they look quite good there. As you can see, they're sort of a bit buggy but far enough back that they don't look like they're the first thing that'll hit. This is the sort of front corner of the chassis, and I think I'm going to get some round tube and make some sort of curved end caps, which should finish those off nicely without having to put a bumper bar on it. I'm also considering putting some Morris Minor side lights in through that front cross member there to provide parkers and or indicators. Well, I've redone the sides of the cockpit, and you can see it's quite a different line. It's hard to see when it's just the bare chassis, but I think that it looks more the part with that sort of shape. Of course, no doors means that you have to climb over, so I'm thinking about putting some little mini running boards on each side to make it easier to just step up, over and in. I've also made a new drag link, but it's only temporary until I can get one turned up, because of course the transport department are not too keen on any steering components that are welded. They've also made a new track rod on the same principle. It's welded together, and of course I'll have to turn something up, but it uses the mini track rod ends, as I was talking about, and it looks very neat. Let's have a look at the lines with the new cockpit sides, and as you can see, it seems to be much more flowing and consistent. I'm very happy with this look. Of course, I'll have to add a couple more uprights in the new section there, and of course then I'm going to go mad with diagonals all over the place. I'm not so sure about this headlight position down here. It looks sort of okay, but I don't know, it looks odd. So I think I'll probably move them up closer to about here, coming off the side of the body, which I think will look more the part. Been making a couple little gussets to go in the corner to integrate the dash into the cockpit sides. Looks a bit rough when it's been welded, but if you look over here, the one I prepared earlier, you can see what they look like when it's been ground back, and the tapped hole is for wing mirrors. Well, I've wheeled it out of the workshop just so that I can have a good look at the lines, and I'm really pleased with that. The new cockpit sides really look the part. In fact, it looks $1 million as far as I can tell. Of course, at this stage you have to try and imagine it with the skin on the body, but I think that it'll look really nice. A bit undecided about the colour at present. I'm sort of tending towards painting it a sort of maroon with black chassis now. It's sort of a traditional Morris colour, a deep sort of plummy sort of red maroon. Should look very nice.